be patient, like work your ass off, which means not working but focusing. Like the work is to not be distracted by what is not true. So to stay focused, but then like surrender and let the creative process surprise you. My story came together today in a totally different way that feels so much more fresh and like me. And it was the process itself that created the story that I end up sharing. Trust those moments when you realize that you've always been who you are, like all the dots suddenly, you see how they connect. And it's not that you've been trying different things and keep failing. It's that everything that you've tried brings you closer and closer to realizing that you are already who you long to be. Thank you. It's the only thing I need to remember. Like, if I could just do that, there's really no other practice or technique or tool or affirmation I need. It's just the only response to the greatness of the mother is thank you. My personal journey right now, it's all about the heart. I don't think in just mine. It's just whatever, just feeling my heart seems like the answer to all my issues around communication or connection. It's just like keep staying still long enough to feel your heart. What a difference a day makes. So I just had my last storytelling class. I've been taking a 6-week class about telling a personal stories in an entertaining way. And today was the performance, and I have been like working on this story for weeks. And then last night I had a breakthrough, and I recorded a little video about it yesterday. And that's what I was just watching when I was like, wow, it brought me back to the reality of like how clear I was. I mean, all I felt was grateful that, like, thank you for the creative process. Like, I worked my ass off on that story, and then I just saw so clearly it wasn't the real story is about that journey of trying to tell my story and realizing it's not meant to work because I'm not meant to keep repeating these old stories. And that was so profound, you know? So that's what I performed today instead of this more like dramatic, entertaining, and also true story about more like the events of how I became a shaman, like how I started connecting to that world. And I just realized this doesn't excite me. Like, yeah, it's good. It feels good when people laugh or whatever, are impressed or think you've had a cool life, or I don't know, whatever people are going to think. But maybe a couple times, like really, I mean, don't get me wrong, it does feel good, but I guess that's what I'm trying to tell myself, like, get over it, because, really, what does that mean? Just like how many times you need a guy to tell you you're pretty before you're not gonna feel that longing, desire to fish for things because you aren't appreciating yourself. Anyway, I decided to tell this other story, and I felt yeah, like it was a declaration. Like, this is who I am and this is who you are, you know? And it felt like so much bigger and a wonderful testament to the class, like the process of retelling and rewriting my story and getting feedback and like working so hard at it. It actually helped me see how I was limiting myself with my own stories. And I mean, I talk about that all the time and we all do it, but I was like, yeah, I don't even want to tell the story. Like, I know, you know, a lot of people, yeah, they tell the same stories because they're crafting them. And that it did feel good to like really see how the story could be shaped. But yeah, in the end, it was just more exciting for me to do something unexpected and that felt more like what's on my heart now instead of a description of what's been. And like what's on my heart now is this fucking project, like doing this show. And like, I'm not thinking about boys and G-Man and Hep C. I'm thinking about like, it's time for the world to be free and how I'm going to birth it and what's my role and, you know, channeling the earth's voice through my body, you know, like connecting my womb to my heart more deeply and learning what it means to speak and birth from my heart, having a center of gravity, changing our center of gravity, like mentally or emotionally, from the pelvis to the heart. The only place, right, where like the masculine and feminine can connect. And I know I've been missing it. So anyway, yeah, with this story, this new story, I felt like, yeah, this is where my heart is, you know, where my whole body is. But, and so I knew it wasn't going to, my teachers weren't going to be happy because it doesn't follow the thing with story. I'm kind of like on a soapbox, like, this is who I am and this is who I stand for. But after going into the whole journey of the story and like, you know, talking about how I realized I was like telling these stories about, you know, how no one liked me in high school because I was Asian and I was the only one. And just like how at some level that's true, but at only one small one. And whether it's true or not, it's like, so what? You know, instead of trying to create something better than what we just had, why don't we just like go into a completely different dimension? Right? Create from now instead of as a reaction to the past. So that's what I felt like I was doing. But the teachers felt like, well, one, this kind of sucked. That I didn't mean that, I don't think. They felt like I was being condescending, like, oh, you and your little story craft, like, you should be talking about the big story, the truth. And I wasn't my intention at all. You know, I actually really respected the process with them. And that's what I mean. I felt so grateful. Like, wow, I had to keep looking at this story and trying to make it perfect to get the real lesson. And I felt like they were like psychologists or midwives, you know, like, anyway, I guess I just feel bad that the teachers, I wouldn't care if they were mad, you know, because I didn't follow the rules. You know, that actually kind of excited me. Like, Stephanie was like, I've never had a student do that before. Like, just totally show up with a story that, you know, we didn't even look at because the whole class is about working on this one story for 4 weeks. And I just changed the one I was sharing like the night before. So no one had heard it before. And yeah, I stressed them out. But it's just like, I don't want them to feel like I was doing something negative towards them, you know? But yeah, it was very different for me to be that person. I've never been that person, you know, like I'm rebellious, but in my own way, not in like yeah. And it was hard for the ego. I definitely knew the other story would get laughs and I don't know, just, it was well crafted, but yeah, I didn't deliver this perfectly, but it still felt good. And I think the parts of me that feel bad or unsettled, like I started to doubt, like, was I being self-indulgent? Because they said the expected comments of like, you know, rather than rattle off opinions, because I was kind of in a soapbox at the end. That's the whole point of the story. Like it connects people in a way they can feel, and I totally get that. And that's why I use art, to get to the heart. But then she said, oh, so then I was like, yeah, maybe I didn't really care about connecting to the audience. Like, that wasn't my intention. And then that was like, wow, I really am being self-indulgent. But it's like, no, because my intention was to speak something that was true and alive. And in that place, I'm in a state of oneness. I'm not thinking, oh, what can I give them through this act? It was like, I'm feeling in love with life right now. And that's what I'm here to share. And I'm assuming that they're in it with me, So, but I think this feeling of kind of like wanting to be understood, or it's really old, just like from when our parents didn't reflect us. And yeah, so I'm actually really thankful for even this opportunity to have this stuff come up, because I realized lately, like, I'm not triggered that much. I was in a relationship where I was triggered all the time last year, and now I'm really lucky in that I'm not in really stressful circumstances, in some ways. So it's almost like, oh yeah, I'm feeling triggered. It's a chance to actually, like bring up old emotions that are ready to release. Otherwise, it doesn't come up unless I do it, purposefully. So yeah, talking about it now, I feel much better, because I was like, I guess I started to feel like this doubt, like, was I really just being self-indulgent? And the word that, Jaya, that came through our session was like, it's be soul indulgent. Like, go all the way with what comes through and don't worry about what people think. And it doesn't feel that good, but like I said, it's helping me bring up all the other times I didn't feel that good. Because, if I'm gonna do a fucking one-woman show that's about, like, how murders are related to abortions, and how women don't trust other women and they can't love their daughters as they do their sons, and that there are sexual slaves that are dying, and modern women being sold to countries like the States, like, you know what? These things are not going to make everyone feel good, and I just, to not care, to not care, it's not for connecting with a particular person or group, or even to make a point. I'm not trying to convince anyone of what I'm saying. That's the thing. Wow, I just got that. Like, yeah, I was just saying it. I wasn't trying to convince anyone anything. I wasn't. It's so true for me. Like, I don't need anyone else to validate that. Like, no, I know that we are living with the remnants of shame, and that we commit inner violence to ourselves every day with these patterns that live in our bodies and our minds. And you can see it everywhere, in overachieving, people-pleasing, perfectionism, the ways that we were oppressed and addicted. In either way, you're not free. Yeah, I